it begins really with a tragedy that was also a blessing, not for the person it was tragic for, but for me. My mother was an invalid. She was paralyzed from the waist down. And I was born in Greenwich Village, if it's a hospital, but I lived on 43rd Street and 2nd Avenue, which was a jewel of a neighborhood. And people lived there for 30 or 40 years. It was a village. It's a wonderful place. From my window, I could see the gargoyles of the Chrysler Building, the UN. My train station was in the Grand Central. My library was on 42nd Street. I thought the world was great. And, but nonetheless, people lived there for many generations. I was always feminine. My father he owned his own cab. He trained fighters. He trained bulldogs. He trained fighting dogs. And he had a son like me. But my mother being sick gave me a handicap. Everybody, no matter what I did in my neighborhood, thought I was odd, peculiar, but not queer. Because in those days, you could not say a person was gay. Even if you knew them 20 years, to ask a person if they were gay was the most insulting thing you could do. It was beloved, the act that could not declare itself. But, so I was the feminine child having to deal with this, but my real problem was never to have anybody come to my house to tell my mother I was beaten because I was gay. My whole motivation was to free my mother of any kind of guilt about my condition. It was not easy, and many incidents betrayed me. In first grade, there was a teacher, Sister Rose, and if you did something wrong, she'd put you in a dress, and you had to get in front of the class. I didn't know what to do with that humiliation. And the only thing I could do was to curtsy and bow to the class. Everybody loved it. I won that group over. And there was the incident of the blue cape. My sister had a blue cape, satin, red inside. It was always in the closet, never worn. It was my dream to put that on. My father was out working. My mother was sick, she could do nothing. I looked around and put the cape on. Oh, and I had a little purse I took with me. And I went out to Senora Gabelli's to get fresh ricotta and things I was supposed to get. She was in shock. By the time I got home, the phone didn't stop ringing. I mean, the whole neighborhood was crazed that I went out with this blue cape. And my father wanted to know what happened. I said, but I was playing Superman. I didn't say I was acting like Lois Lane. But I was playing Superman, and my father, anything I told my father, he would agree. Okay, that's good enough for me. Yeah. Another time, Christmas, my parents were good to me. They gave me these fabulous iron Indians that I loved Indians, and they gave me this magnificent set. It was very expensive. And my sister had something too, and she opened it up. It was a dollhouse. I collapsed. I cried for 24 to 36 hours. I could not believe, and my father couldn't understand it. I got what I wanted, more than I wanted. And my father said, look, just stop crying. I'll give you $20, a lot of money. Get anything you want. I just got my breath together. I went to the store. I saw a huge chuck wagon like this with horses, and it could come apart. I bought that. Brought it home, took off the top, took off the horses, and filled it with my sister's doll furniture. Little kitchenette, a beautiful living room. Put a string on it, and just drove it to the house. My father said, I give up. I give up. So these incidents kept betraying me, but nothing came of it because, basically in this case, the kindness of people not to want to hurt me. Puberty changed that. My early puberty was spent in that neighborhood and was getting more and more difficult. As I was listening to the boys talk, this ugly world I thought they were living in, where you are duplicitous and you fool women and you just try to get away what you want, it was ugly to me. What saved me was we moved to Yorkville. And in Yorkville, I didn't have to hang around with these people anymore. And my sister went to Fashion High and a lot of gay people started coming out. But again, no matter how much I knew it, no matter how much my father accepted things, my mother and my grandmother, everybody, I didn't declare myself gay. And you know what? You really have to do that. You have, because there's something missing in acceptance. If that acceptance is covered by excuses. It has to be you. And I remember one Christmas night, about 1966, and I had everything fine going with me, but it didn't matter. I heard of some kids whose parents were liberal who were thrown out in the street. I saw some. Because you never know. You never know to that moment where you tell the person what it is. When you declare, this is it. It's amazing. And I saw these people, and I just was snowing, and I went home, and I told my dad, I said, come out in the hall with me. That meant serious. Come out in the hall. He said, what? I said, I want to let you know, you can throw me out, do what you want. I'm gay. And he said, I've been waiting. Oh, I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it was that easy, but it wasn't that easy. The real problem was to tell my grandmother. My grandmother was a Sicilian matriarch, dressed in black, with a shawl, gold earrings, Turgania, dark coloring. She looked like she stepped off an olive can. Olive oil can. But like an olive oil can that's so beautiful, you never want to puncture it. You want to keep it. You don't want to use the oil. It's so beautiful. And I had to tell her, she was the matriarch, and this was it. This was what the whole family was going to accept it or not. It was up to her. And I said, Grandma, and she said, what? And here was a statue of St. Anthony behind her with all these colored candles, blazing away. But she was from an ancient people. It's amazing, her reaction. I said to her, Grandma, I'm gay. She said, what? What's it mean? I said, I'm homosexual. What? What's sexual? I said, Grandma, I'm a fairy. She said, a fairy. A fairy in the family. I told your mother that you were blessed when you were born. Because I looked at you and you asked her. I said, this boy shall never have trouble with women.